Hey there, thanks for joining me today. This is Laura Lynn with KeepInkingUp.com. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up in San Antonio, Texas. And today I want to talk to you about our Stampin' Blends markers. These have been around for a couple of years now, so I thought it was about time that I explain how to use them and why I like them so much. Now, we currently don't offer all of our colors in Stampin' Blends, but we do have quite a selection. And so today I'm going to tell you why I prefer the Stampin' Blends over other alcohol markers that are available on the market, as well as some tips on how to use them. So the main difference between an alcohol marker, I'm gonna pull this one out here, and a regular marker is that this is an alcohol-based ink and this is a water-based ink. So when you use them, if you use a regular marker, you probably recall having some you see the marker strokes when you color, and so that kind of prevents people from wanting to use them. But with the alcohol-based markers, you go over it and you don't have any marker lines. Let me pull this up here so you can see. You can see the marker lines on this one, but there's no marker lines on the alcohol-based. The alcohol helps it absorb into the paper. You can kind of see it goes through the paper. So that's why that people like using the alcohol markers. Now, like I said, there's lots of alcohol markers on the market. I happen to prefer Stampin' Up Stampin' Blends for several reasons, and I'll go over all of those. But before I get started, I want to go ahead and stamp an image so we can talk about these markers. I'm going to be using a floral image from the Bloom and Grow stamp set. Normally, in the past, over the years, I would have shied away from an outline stamp image like these because I was afraid of coloring them in. But now with these Stampin' Blends, I kind of feel like an artist, and so now I do purchase outline images because now I enjoy coloring with them. So I'm going to be using this image. Now with an alcohol markers, it is often recommended that you use Tuxedo Black Memento Ink if you're wanting to use a black ink. So that's what I have here. I have a Memento ink pad. Now this is not like our foam pads. So to use this pad, I like to twist. Let me see if I can put this here. I like to twist and tap. Twist and tap. So I think that I've got that inked up pretty well. Because this is photopolymer, I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm going to stamp this down onto my Whisper White cardstock. Our Whisper White cardstock is great for alcohol markers. They blend really nicely on there. That looks lovely. I'm going to set that aside to dry. You do want to make sure that you let this black ink dry really well. It doesn't take very long, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but especially if you're using light colors of alcohol markers, you do want to make sure this is completely dry. Now, like I said, there are other alcohol markers on the market, and one of the reasons why I like these markers so much, let me see, I'm going to pull this in, pull these in. You'll notice I have labeled my markers with my label maker because my aging eyes just have a really hard time seeing these words, especially across the table. So now I can easily grab the ones that I want because I have these labels on there. So that's why that's there. But anyway, one of the reasons why I prefer the Stampin' Blends over other alcohol markers on the market, and I have tried a couple of those, number one is the price. These are $4.50 each here in the US. You get 2 for $9 with 1 item number. Having 1 item number for the combo pack does not save you. There's no discount. You don't save any money. It's still the same amount of money, but at $4.50 a marker, you can replace them individually as they dry out or as you need. Now I realize that the more expensive markers on the market, they're refillable. You can replace the nibs and everything, and that's great. If you're able to invest that kind of money into markers, then that's definitely for you. But I like I'm on a budget, and so I like the ability to purchase just when I need them individually. So anyway, the other main reason why I really prefer the Stampin' Blends is that they match our Stampin' Up colors. One of the best things about Stampin' Up is the coordination across the various products. So for example, these are the Flirty Flamingo Stampin' Blends, which match the Flirty Flamingo ink pad. Of course, we have a Flirty Flamingo ink refill. I showed you earlier the Flirty Flamingo Stampin' Write marker. We also have matching cardstock And sometimes we have embellishments. This is a retired ribbon when Fleur de Flamingo was an in color, but we have that as well. So having the coordination of all of the products across these pieces is really what sold me originally on Stampin' Up! More than 18 years ago. So having the Stampin' Blends, the alcohol markers in these colors as well, it just is a no-brainer. You just want to use them. So that's really the main reason, but the cost is a secondary reason of why I prefer to use my Stampin' Blends. So let's go ahead and pull back in this piece that we stamped. Now, all alcohol markers absorb into the paper, and so you do want to protect your work surface. I use just recycled copy paper. I'm going to put that under there, and we're going to get to coloring. Now, there are two ways that you can color. Like I said, they do come in combo packs of the light and the dark if you want to do some shading. But if you're not into shading, you don't have to. One of the great things about these markers is you can just do straight coloring as well. So I'm just going to actually do straight coloring for this example. There are two tips on our markers. The wide end has a wide brush tip, which is good for large areas of coloring. And then we've got the little line that indicates the more bullet tip. And that's the one that I'm going to use because these flowers are not very big. And I'm just going to go, well, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and use the brush. And you hear that click. You need to make sure that you click your markers closed. I'm just going to quickly brush on this color, just a solid color. Right now, I'm not worrying about shading. I'll show you a shading example in a little bit if you want to get that detailed. But these are wonderful because if you are nervous about coloring, you can just straight color with these. I want to make sure that I get the whole flower. That looks good. That covered that pretty easily. I think I will take the darker one and color in just these little flowers, buds here, pieces there, I think. And the bullet tip is perfect to get into those little dots. Oops, I missed one. There we go. Then I'm going to take the light Highland Heather color, and again we'll take the brush tip and color in these flowers. And again, I'm not doing any kind of blending, not anything fancy. I'm just coloring in the flower. And I'll do this flower over here too. Now, if you want to spend more time blending, you can certainly do that. And in a little bit, I'll show you an example of this same flower where I've spent more time doing the blending, but I just wanted to show you how quick and easy these work. Then I'll take the light Mossy Meadow. These leaves are smaller, so I'll use the bullet tip, and I'll just quickly color those in as well. And it's okay to leave a little bit of white space when you're coloring in. That kind of adds to the character of your piece. Okay. Just a few more leaves here we'll color in. So just like that, you've got it all colored in, and see how smooth. You don't see any markers, any stroke marks from the markers. I think that's just beautiful. I did want to go ahead and pull in a sample of a card where I did some shading. You can see I used the dark and the light of both the Fleur de Flamingo, the Highland Heather, and even on the leaves of the Mossy Meadow. So you can see with a little bit more time and effort, you can go from just straight coloring to blended coloring. So you can do either one. This again shows how I have the Fleur de Flamingo matching blends with the cardstock and the ribbon. I wanted to show you the blends are on here as well. You don't always have to stamp your images in black and use your colors that way. I'm going to pull in a piece of Old Olive, and I'm going to, I need to close this up before it dries out. You do want to make sure you close your ink pads. I'm going to use, this is Old Olive cardstock with Mossy Meadow ink, because I'm going to use Mossy Meadow markers. So I'm going to stamp a few of these little leaves. These little leaves also are in the same stamp set as the other floral image. I'm just kind of randomly stamping around. I'm not going to do this very precise. You can see I did this on the bottom of this card a little tighter and everything, but I'm just kind of trying to show you. So I'll close that up. So I've stamped the Mossy Meadow onto the old olive cardstock, and now I'm going to take the light Mossy Meadow. I'll take the brush tip, and I'm just going to color in the leaves. Now it looks like when I start this that, oh my gosh, it's going on really dark and you're going to lose the lines of the stamp, but over time that alcohol from the markers will dry, and then you'll start to see the outline of the stamp that you have below. So you don't always have to use the Memento black ink, but if you want to use black ink, you do need to use that Memento. You don't want to use Stazon, which is a waterproof ink. I'm not a chemist, so I don't know exactly the properties of the inks, but I do know from experience that if you use alcohol inks with Stazon ink, the alcohol in the marker will react with the alcohol in the Stazon ink, and then they'll bleed and you'll have just a little bit of a mess. So anyway, I wanted to show you how you can do that, and like I said, here in my sample you can see I created my own background paper with the Mossy Meadow blend with the Mossy Meadow ink on the old olive cardstock that go really well with each other. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about these Stampin' Blends and why they're so wonderful. Like I mentioned earlier, we do not yet have them available in all of the ink colors, but we do have quite the variety. I just used 3 on this particular card sample. What I recommend is maybe start out with 2 different colors, maybe a set of greens and then a different color. To go with floral images. If you have other types of images, you might choose colors differently, but go ahead and get just maybe 2 or 3 colors of Stampin' Blends and give them a try. I bet you that you will really like them. You can do straight, simple coloring, you can do shading, or you can do tone on tone. You can do so much with these markers. So anyway, I hope that you found this video helpful and informative on our Stampin' Blends and that you'll give them a try. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.